Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all to the seminar today. And the seminar is about the unveiling the silent enemy of health, nutritional enemy today. So we all have heard of anemia, and this word is not so uncommon to us. But in fact, there are many types of anemia, and one is related to our eating. And we are very honored today to have our guest speaker, Miss Clara Cheng. She is our Adjunct Lecturer at the HKU SPACE and also one of our very experienced lecturer. And she is the dietitian, graduated from University of Sydney. And also she has extensive experience in the field of nutrition and also the food industry. So thank you, Clara, and I'll pass the time to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kemi. And I'm so very happy to have this chance for us to learn more about anemia, okay? Because I think, well, this disease, like in Chinese, we always call it right? Okay, so we may have heard about it, we're always, but then how much do we know about this disease? I think it is good that we get a chance for us today, because one thing that is, well, as the topic said, it is silent, okay? So we may have heard about it, but then sometimes we may not really feel it. And then, yes, this is an enemy, because for sure, it is not just that, well, we call it, we know about it, but actually it can really impact to our health, and it can be extensive, the effect. So that's why today it would be a good idea and also a good chance for us to know more, protect our health. So, well, just before we start to talk about anemia, here I have some question for you to think about it. Okay, so if for some people they tell you that, oh well, my favorite food it is like chips, or maybe my favorite food is burger, chocolate, then I think you think it is normal, right? But what if somebody tell you that, oh wow, sometimes I am craving for something, but then it is I'm craving for eating paper, or maybe I'm craving for having ice, okay? Or maybe even something that we don't call it food, even not consider food, like we are craving for, well, clay, okay? So if people, they tell you this, what will you think? You may think, oh, well, this guy must be some problem, okay, maybe crazy or whatever. But actually, if we really, or unfortunately, we hear some people, well, they are craving for this, then we got to be careful, because this may be an alarm, okay? So I also have some more question for you, okay? I hope after, well, this session, and then we will know, okay, so this question, it is true or it is false, right or wrong, okay? So would you think if I am iron deficient, that means I don't have enough iron in my body, do you think this equivalent to anemic? That means in anemia. Would you think so? I don't have enough iron, so I must be anemic. Can I say that? Okay. Second question. Okay, if I'm not a vegetarian, then I won't have anemia, because sometimes we think, well, anemia, it is caused by not eating enough meat. And so if I am a vegetarian, then I'm not a vegetarian. Then that means I eat meat, then I won't have it. Okay. And then I'll see what your answer is, and then we will review all the answers as well later. Okay. So question number 3. Anemia is not a big deal. Exactly, this is the question that I was asking my colleague yesterday. I asked her, hey, what do you think about anemia? So do you worry about it? And then exactly she told me, oh, well, this should be okay. Just rest more, then should be fine. Not too bad. Would you also think so? That anemia is just, well, not a really big deal, okay? And then would you think anemia is a sign of poor diet? Okay, so let's have a look, okay, our coming section that we're going to talk about some information about this, and then hopefully later on, and then when we think about this question again, then you will know the answer, okay? So, well, anemia, well, this term, well, in English, we may have heard about it, and then in Chinese, we call it 貧血, okay? So actually, where does it come from? Because this term sounds quite interesting, right? It's not like a blood lipid or blood glucose that's very obvious, the meaning. So anemia, actually, if we look at where it comes from an ancient Greek word, but I don't know how to pronounce it, unfortunately. Okay, but actually the meaning, if we look at it, it means lack of blood. So actually our Chinese translation, it is quite good. Exactly, that is a lack of blood. Okay, so here I also have some other language. Okay, even in Japanese, they also use the Chinese character. Okay, so if you see that in Japan, okay, we love to travel to Japan. So you will also find that exactly the same meaning. Okay, it is also well, meaning lack of blood. Okay, so what exactly is anemia? Well, we have all heard about this disease, I think. But if we look at anemia, actually, it is just a general term. Okay, so it covers many different conditions. Okay, or actually, well, the causes can be very different. So in general, anemia, we say it is a condition in which the red blood cell well, or the hemoglobin, or in Chinese, we say the 血红素, okay? So that is lower than normal. Okay, so as long as well, you don't have enough red blood cell, or as long as your hemoglobin level is too low, then this is anemia. Okay, so well, anemia, when it occurs, okay, so you can imagine, well, something will go wrong, because if we look at the role of hemoglobin, actually, what does it do? Well, our body, different part of our body will need some oxygen, okay, to keep it working normally. So you can imagine, if I don't have enough hemoglobin, so what does it mean? That means I don't have enough oxygen. Okay, so depends on how severe it is. If well, the oxygen is really supplied is not enough, then you can imagine our organ, our tissue, then they may not work properly, and then eventually that can bring about a very bad outcome. So it is not just, yeah, rest more, should be fine. Okay, so this is anemia. So anemia, like what I mentioned, it is just a general term. Okay, we have many different types of anemia. So here, let me show you some example of the anemia. Well, I put the iron deficiency anemia, okay, well, the first. Okay, after all, it is because this is the most common type, okay, and it is also a kind of, we say, nutritional anemia. Okay, so that means, yes, it is related to nutrition. Okay, so from the word iron deficiency, you know, it is because of I don't have enough iron for my body. So that's why, well, anemia. And then, well, apart from iron, I'm not sure if you know, actually some other vitamin or mineral, or we don't have enough, actually that can cause anemia, but just is less common. Okay, one of the example, like vitamin B12, okay, and then also like folic acid, okay, that if we don't have enough, that can also cause anemia. Okay, so any idea where we can get vitamin B12? Well, let me tell you, okay, B12 is not difficult to get, but just it has to be from animal. So if I'm a vegetarian, that I really do not eat any animal food at all, then probably, well, the risk of B12 deficiency is quite high. Okay, so that's why sometimes we also link vegetarian to anemia. This is one of the reasons. Okay, so apart from these two type of nutritional anemia, we also have some other anemia. Well, they are not related to nutrition actually, okay, or not caused by food or your diet. So example, we have a hemolytic anemia. One of the example, thalassemia. Okay, so maybe this term is quite new. Okay, well, if we are haven't get in touch with this English term, but if I translate it to Chinese, I'm sure that you have heard about it. 地中海貧血. Okay, so actually, well, for this kind of anemia, the red blood cell, you can imagine they break down. Okay, and this is genetic, not related to diet. It is not because of I eat something wrong, so that's why I have anemia. It is kind of like an inherited problem. Okay. And we also have another type of anemia. We call it aplastic anemia. So for this kind of case, that is the body for some reason well unable to produce enough red blood cell. So the same outcome when I don't have enough oxygen, and then well it can affect our body function. Okay, and then we can also have some other type of anemia, which is related to the inflammation. Okay, for example, rheumatoid arthritis, or well, the terrible disease like cancer, and then eventually, well, this kind of disease they can also cause the anemia. Okay, so that's why you will find that, oh, if I am iron deficient, is it necessarily I am anemia? Not necessarily, to see if it works enough. Okay, I mean the iron deficiency case, or if well, we say anemia, is it caused by poor diet? Well, you will find that not necessarily. Okay, because we do have some anemia case maybe not caused by diet. Okay, so now we can have a closer look because we are talking about nutrition. Okay, then we have to look at the nutritional anemia. So, why we think about anemia, we always have iron come up to our mind. But one of the reasons is because of most of the patients, if they are anemia, likely it is caused by iron deficiency. So this is the most common type of anemia among all kind of anemia. Okay, so although when we say folate, vitamin B12 deficiency that can cause anemia, iron this is still the most common type. Okay, so we don't have to go into very detail to look at all sort of data, but just that is it difficult to know whether I am anemic? Actually, it is not difficult, but just we can't just look at you, okay, and then know you are anemic or not. Well, we still need to do some blood tests, but just it is quite easy, okay. Of course, you can't simply do it at home because we need the device, we need to have, the testing equipment, but it is actually just take a few minutes, then you will know the result, okay? So if one day you are really, want to know whether I am at risk of anemia or whether I am normal, and simply, okay, go to clinic, okay, or get some, or maybe go to Red Cross, okay, before you do the blood donation, they will check it out for you, okay? So if we will look at the hemoglobin level, okay. So for example, like look at your age and also your gender and then also your condition. For example, if a lady they are pregnant, then yes, we do have another definition for anemia. Okay, so that's why it is not something difficult to check. It is indeed quite easy to administer. And if this is the silent enemy, then actually, we can also being more proactive, okay, to check our blood hemoglobin level, especially for lady. Okay, because we're always at higher risk, and also children, we're always at higher risk. Okay, so the health impact of anemia. Okay, it is always underestimated. Why I would like to say so? I'm not sure if you have done your body check, or if you're doing your body check regularly. I think when we do body check, it's quite often that we think about our blood cholesterol level, like or maybe blood pressure, or maybe we check our body weight. Okay, but how often do you also look at the blood hemoglobin? Maybe not, right? So sometimes it is quite underestimated. Where anemia, actually, it is not just pale and tired, okay? Of course, life in Hong Kong is never easy. Sometimes you also look pale, especially Monday morning, right? Going to work. Headache and then pale and tired. We all know that. But because of these signs, sometimes maybe not very easy to notice. So sometimes we underestimate it, okay? So anemia, it is not just pale, okay, or tired. For if we look at for the outcome, actually it can even affect our cognitive function. Okay, so because imagine that our brain, when it is working, it also need oxygen. When you don't have enough oxygen, then our cognitive function it is affecting. And bear in mind that, for example, like a children, a baby, okay, and then also maybe adolescent, they are still growing. Okay, they need extra oxygen, and then their brain is also developing. So, and at the same time, if they don't have enough iron in their body, and then not enough nutrient, then that can cause anemia. Okay, and eventually, it is not just pale because their brain development, cognitive development, all can be affected. Okay, and then also, like, it can also cause some problem for the pregnant women and also their baby. Okay, it's because of you can also imagine pregnant lady, they need to produce more blood, right, for the fetus and then also for herself, and then also preparation for delivering the baby. So they all need it, and so that is why it does bring some health impact. If we live in untreated, then what will be the outcome? So it is actually can be life-threatening. We may always think about high blood pressure, it is life-threatening. We may think high blood cholesterol is threatening, life-threatening, but we sometimes may not realize that even anemia, okay, that can be life-threatening because after all, all of our organ, actually they require blood, they require oxygen. So if it is not functioning well, then actually it can bring about some organ failure problem. Okay, so we talk about anemia, it is underestimated sometimes. So is it really a concern? If we look at WHO, okay, some of the data, actually it also tell us it is really a public concern, public health concern. Okay, because globally, if we look at the global data, well, we find that 40% of children aged 6 to 59 months, okay, the young child, and then 37% of pregnant women, and then also 30% of women around 15 to 49 years old, we say this is the childbearing age, they are affected by anemia. So it is actually not low. Okay, it is not just, well, yeah, anemia doesn't matter. And it is also not that, oh, we are in a well-off city, so it should be okay that we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so, well, we find that, if we look at this group of people, they are all developing the body, or they need extra oxygen, okay, for the growth, so, or maintaining the function. So that is why when they don't get enough iron, and then yes, that can eventually be a concern. Okay, so the causes of anemia, okay, well, like what we mentioned before, it can be a lot of reasons, okay, that cause many different types of anemia. So that's why if we look at anemia, eventually what are the causes? Okay, so of course, if it is iron deficiency anemia, then it will be caused by not enough iron. Okay, so yes, iron deficiency or some nutritional anemia, it is caused by poor nutrition. And sometimes it could be some other chronic diseases, especially like childbearing age lady. Okay, if the menstruation is always heavy, and then also, well, maybe some other pregnancy issue, and then that can also bring about the deficiency. Okay, but if the case is like a thalassemia, okay, this kind of case, not nutrition related, then of course, exactly the reason it could be just inherited. Okay, so here I have some common signs, okay? Well, some common signs is really common. So, and it is also not unique to anemia. So that's why sometimes we may ignore it. For example, like tiredness, dizziness, we always feel our hands and feet, they are cold. That is normal because when not enough blood, then of course, right? And then yes, the shortness of breath, okay? Shortness of breath, it is also another symptom because, well, think about it. When you don't get enough oxygen, of course, you breathe more frequently, okay? But then we also have some severe symptom, okay? For example, it could be like, well, the heart rate becomes very rapid, okay? And then even, for example, like bruising more easily. So these are all the signs that the blood, they are not functioning properly, okay? So some well, interesting symptom, okay? So if you remember in the very beginning of our session, so I asked, what do you think if people, they tell you that, oh, I'm craving for eating paper. I'm craving for having something like even dirt or maybe clay. We may think, oh, must be something wrong, okay? So, but actually, well, if one day, well, you hear people, they say this, then maybe you can pay extra attention. We call this Pica. Okay, Pica. So what is Pica actually? Well, it is that a symptoms of iron deficiency anemia. We still not exactly know why this happened, but we see this is kind of like the phenomenon. Okay, so that is people, they are craving for something which is even not food. Okay, so for example, like dirt, clay, and then when I look at some peer review journal where they have some case study, they even find that, well, some people, anemic patient, iron deficiency anemia patient, they even crave for canned cat food. Okay, so, well, the pet may be complaining. Okay, all right. So that's why if we see something like this, it could be a symptom that telling you what maybe iron deficiency is happening in the body. Okay, so this is quite a unique sign that we can have a look. Okay, so speaking of anemia, like we talk about iron and then we talk about the other type. Okay, so here I just would like to show you a picture. Well, when we talk about nutritional anemia, there can be different type. Okay, after all, it is still not enough oxygen at normal red blood cell. Okay, but one type, it is like the left hand side, we call it microcytic anemia. That is when the red blood cell, they become pale and then also become small in size, and it can also like a megaloblastic. That is the red blood cell, it become too large. Okay, well, after all, it's because of the cell cannot be divided and then caused by vitamin B12 or folic acid deficiency. Okay, so if we look at well, because iron deficiency is still more common type. So that's why, let's have a look. Why, if we have iron deficiency anemia, then we might have all those symptoms, okay? And then why, what organ may be impacted? So, for example, well, blood, this we all know, okay, making the hemoglobin. And then actually, like a muscle, and then, well, in the muscle, we also have something called myoglobin, okay? So its role is also to carry the oxygen. Okay, if we don't have enough iron, actually muscle is also be affected. Okay, but just that not just our skeletal muscle, it could be like our heart, it is also affecting. Okay, so that's why when not enough iron, it is not just I am weak, I can't do exercise. Actually, our heart can also be affected, and that's why it can be fatal. Okay, so our body is smart. If we have some iron, it can be stored. Okay, so the liver, it is a place where we can store the iron. Okay, so that's why, yep, sometimes when we think about some high iron food, we may have liver come up to our mind. And that is correct, because it is where the iron being stored. And so it would be a good food source as well. Okay, so iron, well, it is important. And then I would say, yes, iron, it is also very ironic. Okay, so why is it so ironic? Because if we look at iron, this element, you know, it is the most abundant mineral in the earth's crust. Okay, and that if we look at anemia, it is also the most common type of blood disorder over the world. And then if we look at anemia, well, among these different types, iron deficiency anemia, like what I mentioned before, it is also the most common type of nutrient deficiency. So most common, and most common. So they all come together. Suppose, well, we should get iron very easily. Then why it is still so common? Okay. So if we quickly will look at some data, not that global level, how about like in Asia? Okay, if we look at China, okay, so maybe we think, okay, so China, we're a big country, okay, we're rural area, urban area. But if we look at even the urban area in mainland China, we also have close to 50% of pregnant lady, they had iron deficiency, okay? And then if we look at Hong Kong, okay, closer look of it. Okay, so according to the statistic, even in Hong Kong, okay, so we find that well, children, well, they can also, the preschool children, 50% of them, they don't have enough iron as per the recommendation. Okay, so that means there is really some potential risk. It can be a public health concern. Okay, so well, let's have a look, okay, of some local situation. Okay, so well, a study, well, showing us, well, the cross-sectional study in Hong Kong, we're covering our 183 boys and 340 girls. Okay, so we find that, well, according to the data, okay, some of them, well, they do have some iron deficiency problem. Okay, like a 1 in 10 school-age adolescent in Hong Kong, they are iron deficient. Imagine that. They are now growing, okay, rapidly, but they don't have enough iron, okay? And then if we look at the table, you will find that who is at risk, at higher risk? It's girl, okay? So maybe boys, I think, first of all, well, compared with lady, well, girl, boys, they always kind of like not worrying too much about overweight. But girl always hope that, well, I want to look slim, and then maybe they skipping meals or use that method, and then to, well, go for weight reduction. So, and also, one thing very different among female and male, that is a lady, they, well, when they reach the childbearing age, starting from adolescent, regular blood loss through the menstruation. So if we look at the data, okay, so you find that the statistics tell us boys, okay, it seems that, well, the iron deficiency problem, relatively, the risk is lower. Okay, but after all, overall, well, like what we just mentioned, 1 in 10 school-age adolescent in Hong Kong are iron deficient. Potentially, they can also go to the anemic state. Okay, so well, they are very important. Okay, adolescent, they are our future. So that's why it is important that to prevent the problem, it is not until I am anemic, until I check that my hemoglobin level is too low, but starting earlier. Okay, protect well, our young kid. Okay, so if we look at the iron in Hong Kong, well, what is the situation? Okay, so not just the adolescent, how about closer to us? We also find that even the male population, the iron intake seems to be, well, not adequate. Okay, so still not meeting the recommendation. And if lady, that is even worse, okay? Over 90% of female population, the intake of iron is below the recommendation, okay? So that is why we may think we are overweight. We may think we are quite, have different types of diet or food, everything, but iron sometimes still can be a concern. So now, how about we have a look, okay, of iron. If iron deficiency a problem, it is the one that we want to tackle, then of course, we'll focus on iron in our diet, okay? I'm not sure if you know, iron, even iron, okay, in food, they can turn up in different form, okay? So if we think about iron, high iron food or iron-rich food, what would be the one that come up to your mind? Apart from liver, we just talk about it. Well, we may think, exactly, I heard, red meat, okay, 紅肉啊, right, okay? But actually, apart from red meat, we also have some other choices. And what if I am a vegetarian then? I'm what can I do? Okay, so if not liver and then not red meat, what can I choose? And actually, if we look at some example like spinach, okay, it is a well-known non-animal food that is rich in iron. Okay, so indeed, if we talk about look at these two tables, they are some example of food that they contain some iron. We have heme iron and non-heme iron. Okay, want to guess the meaning of heme? If one is animal, one is plant, then the heme iron, the heme that actually refers to blood. Okay, so obviously we don't have a blood in plant food. That's terrible. If yes, right? Okay, so heme iron and non-heme iron. Here we have example. The heme iron can be from different kind of animal food. It's not necessarily red meat. We have example here like a beef. It is red meat, and then we also have some organ meat we just mentioned. But actually, we also have something like seafood, right? So something like oyster, okay, and then something like a tuna. Well, they also can be a good source of heme iron. And then how about non-heme iron? Yes, of course, fortified food. Okay, fortified means that we add the iron to it. It is not naturally high, but it's added to it. But if we are looking for something natural, then yes, certain types of food, plant food, like beans, spinach, or even something like potato with skin. Okay, that is also a good source of non-heme iron. Okay, so that means, yes, if I want to, I'm a vegetarian or I try to eat less red meat, indeed, I still have a lot of choices to go for a high iron food. Okay, so, but the matter is, okay, heme iron or non-heme iron, which is better? Would it be sort of, the same or one is better than another one? Then now let's have a look, okay, of some factor that can affect the iron absorption. Because unfortunately, not all of the iron in our food can be absorbed. Okay, sometimes they are not available for absorption. Okay, so if we look at the heme iron, okay, what can affect its absorption? Sometimes like in my body, okay, if my iron status it is quite low, then probably okay sorry, I should say when I have some a problem with my iron status, then yes, the absorption rate it can be affected. Or sometimes if my body got some problem in the gut, then yes, that can also affect the absorption. Okay, and then of course, in the same meal, like the mineral, they are also competing with each other for absorption. Okay, it is quite often that when we have iron, maybe we also have some calcium together, and then you can imagine they are competing each other, okay, for being absorbed. So if you have a lot of calcium and only a little bit of iron, then that is going to be a problem, okay? So let's say you can imagine it's like a race, okay? I have 1,000 calcium, but only 10 iron, then calcium may win the game, all right? And then sometimes it could be about the food preparation, okay? But in general, the heme iron absorption, it is still easier, okay? So how about the non-heme iron? Would there be some factor that also affecting the non-heme iron absorption? The answer is yes, okay? And actually, we even say there are some inhibiting factors that can affect the iron absorption. For example, when we say spinach, okay, so it is high in iron. But unfortunately, spinach itself, it is also quite high in something we call it oxalic acid. Chinese we call it 稠酸. Okay, so they can become best friend forever. that they are too friends with each other, binding with each other. And then so this iron may not be available for absorption. Okay. And then also, sometimes it's like, something that you have together with a high iron, non-heme iron food. Have you had some coffee today with your lunch or maybe tea? Well, I did. Okay. So what happened then? Well, you may love coffee and your iron is also in love with coffee. Okay. So the matter is the tannic acid, in Chinese we call it 单宁酸. Okay. They can also chelate, or we say bind with the iron. Okay. And then when they are will bind with each other, again, it's not available for absorption. Okay. So is there anything we can do kind of like to promote this non-heme iron absorption? Well, the answer is yes. We find that vitamin C, okay, that can assist the iron absorption. Okay. So although non-heme iron, well, there may be some blocking factor for it to be absorbed, we still have some enhancing factor to support its absorption. Okay, so well, there are also some other causes that can affect the iron absorption overall. Sometimes we may not be able to change this. For example, if unfortunately we need to have some medication, or if we have disease and then maybe we need a surgery, then the iron absorption may still be affected. Okay, but well, if we think about the diet, we still that there are some ways that we can do. Okay, so we say nutritional anemia. Were unlike the other type, the one that we just mentioned before, like the aplastic anemia or something like hemolytic anemia that can be inherited. Well, nutritional anemia, it is the most common type, okay, among all types of anemia. And then if we look at it, actually it is largely preventable and also treatable. So that's why we have to prevent it and also to treat it in case if we have it. So what can we do, okay, to make sure that we get enough iron? Because this is the best way to prevent it from happening. And in case if we are also facing the problem like iron deficient, then having adequate intake of iron can also help to treat the problem. So if we look at this, how much do we need? Okay, well, on the left-hand side, then you will see the different life stages and then also the iron requirement. It is interesting that when we grow older, okay, when we reach to the adolescent age and then also the adult age, then we have well, different level for male and female. So after all, it is because of lady lost more regularly than male. So that's why the requirement is higher. Okay, so the data, if only looking at iron, how many milligram, may be meaningless because you don't go to the restaurant and then tell the waiter, hey, I want well, some beef with 80 milligram iron. Okay, so the waiter can't help you, the restaurant can't help you. But how about that we do some calculation by ourselves, then you will find that actually getting adequate iron, it is not that difficult. Okay, so example, well, some heme iron from food. Okay, heme, that means blood. So that means it is from animal. Okay, here I have some example. Well, if we have some clams or some oyster, 100 gram. Okay, then wow, you will find that, well, the iron content is quite high. But of course, I'm not expecting that every day we have clams and oyster. Right? That might be, well, a bit too heavy. Okay, but how about that something regular, like well, we all think that red meat, okay, beef, that can be a good source. So any idea how much is 100 gram of beef? So I'm not sure if you play mahjong, okay? But sometimes we like to use the mahjong size to represent the meat size or the serving size, okay? So we say one mahjong, okay, it is around 40 gram. So that means if you have 2.5 pieces of well, cooked beef, well, calculation time, how much you can get. Okay, so it is, I think, around 7 milligram of iron that you already got. Okay, so think about that. If we have some red meat, lunch and dinner, and then we already get almost enough iron every day for the day. Okay, and then this is only counting the heme iron. So if we also look at the non-heme iron, okay, then we can get even more. Okay, so do not think that plant food, they are not iron rich. If we look at that, actually something like soybean, okay, soybean, we can have quite some iron from it. Well, soybean, maybe we don't always eat just the soybean, but don't forget that a lot of soy product, for example, like tofu, soy milk, okay? So they're all from soybean. The iron content actually is not low, okay? 1 cup, well, it provides us 8.8 milligram, okay? And then if we look at some spinach, okay, it is also high. Well, if you say, what if I don't really like a spinach, then are there any other choices? In general, the dark green veggie, they are not bad choice, okay? And then even oat, okay? So it is also containing some iron. So adding everything up together, hitting the target, actually it is not a dream. It is not something that difficult, okay? So that's why it's quite ironic. Iron is everywhere. Iron, it is not that difficult to obtain, but why it still become a so common problem? Okay, so we can do it. So just well, repeat some of what we mentioned before. It is like well, enhancer, like it can promote the absorption or something that can block the absorption. So if we bring all this back to our diet strategy, then what we can do? So yes, we can have some food-based approach. Okay, so for example, like the enhancer. Okay, so what can promote me, okay, promote us, okay, to have to get enough iron. Okay, so well, of course, heme iron, it is easy to absorb. Okay, meat, poultry, fish, and seafood, they all contain some heme iron. And then vitamin C. Well, vitamin C, it is important for especially vegetarian. Okay, or if one day, well, lunch you are going to have something like spinach or maybe soy, it would be a good idea that you also take some vitamin C together, but not the supplement form. Okay, so where can I get vitamin C? I think this one actually quite easy, okay, to figure out. Citrus fruit. Okay, so maybe I give you an idea, healthy and also promoting iron absorption. You can have some salad. Instead of adding a lot of fattening salad dressing, why don't you just have some lemon juice, okay, to go with it? Some vitamin C, supporting the iron absorption, low fat and healthy, okay? And vitamin C itself is also promoting the immunity, okay? So at the same time, we also can have avoid some inhibitor to go together. For example, if we have something like a coffee or tea, then well, it may block the iron absorption. It is not that you should avoid drinking all kind of coffee, but just make sure that you don't have them together. Okay, for example, if I am having something like a spinach, I'm having soy, then maybe, well, not go with the coffee if you want to get the iron being well absorbed. Okay, and then also like some major mineral, for example, like calcium. This is the one that we can always get quite some in our diet. Okay, so if we have a high iron food together with a high calcium food, then probably the iron still cannot be well absorbed. Okay, so well, here I have some example. Okay, so just to make it more practical, that we know the theory behind and how to make it practical become our strategy. Like we can have a tea and coffee separate from the mealtime. So how separate is not necessarily to be like a morning and also the well, evening time. So just 1 and 2 hours later, separation time. Okay, good enough to let them not bump into each other. Okay, and then we can also have some milk fruit juice or maybe like what I mentioned, the juice from the citrus fruit that can be used just like a salad dressing, or maybe sauce or something like that. Okay, and then yes, dairy product is always good. It is good to well get a calcium. Don't think calcium is a bad guy. It is not. It is actually good. We need it. But just when you would like to also get the iron well absorbed, try to separate them. Okay, do not have them all together. Okay, and then also like we'll consume the food containing the inhibitor at meals well lowest in iron content. That means, well, if I would like to have coffee, okay, then maybe at that meal, well, doesn't matter that you go for something which is not high in iron, okay, then no loss, okay, that can also be a strategy. Okay, so finally, well, I have shared quite some information to you. So just would like to have a very quick summary to make sure that we all get the important point. There are many different types of anemia. So if I am well iron deficient, well, is it necessary to be anemia? Not necessarily. And even if we talk about, say, anemia, there are also many different types. So some can be due to nutrition, some maybe not. Okay, but after all, our iron, it is still the most common type. Okay, globally and also the locally. So who are at higher risk? Young children, female, especially those at childbearing age, pregnant lady, okay, they are more susceptible to iron deficiency. So pay extra attention. And even if you find that, okay, I'm a guy, okay, adult, so I'm not at high risk. Well, you can also, pay extra attention, okay, to the lady at home, okay, remind them, because we all can be the ones spread the important news, okay. And then, yes, very important, iron deficiency is treatable and preventable. Okay, it is not something that I can't avoid it, nothing I can do about it. We can do something to prevent it. And also, if unfortunately already having it, it is treatable. And last but not the least, diet, it plays a very important role. So as long as we have a balanced diet, and then we're supposed to get the nutrient that we need, and then we can also, that support us to stay healthy all the time. Okay, so I think, I speak quite enough. So maybe it is about that we can have some Q&A time. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Clara, for the fruitful talk. So very interesting. I believe some of our audience may have some questions for Clara, as the anemia is very common to us. But I'm seeing some questions online first. So yeah. So one audience is asking if I feel always very tired. Does it mean that I have anemia? And if so, how do I do?
So I think it is quite often that we feel tired, especially when work it is heavy or maybe not enough sleep, then we might feel tired. So tired, it is for sure one of the symptoms. However, if we want to confirm that only tired may be not good enough to indicate whether this is anemic, the best way, go into the blood test, okay, and then also seek help from doctor. Make sure that the blood level, like the hemoglobin level, okay, or do some blood tests, and then make sure that the data, okay, that reveals the truth, okay, because only tired may be not good enough. But it is good that we notice we're always tired. Then probably the next step is not just to leave it there and then go and confirm it. If it is really too low in the hemoglobin level or something wrong with the red blood cell, then we can do the next step. Sometimes pay extra attention to the diet, or maybe seek some medical advice that for sure that can prevent the problem from exacerbating. Yeah.
Okay, so see if any questions from the floor. Yes.
Australia, there are about 18% of ladies have this anemia problem. But in Hong Kong, I'm surprised to find that it's like a bigger size population that has anemia than Australia. Can you explain why?
Well, I think for comparing the different country, we have a different data for sure, and we also have different background. Okay, so for example, like in Hong Kong, I think why we have also quite a big number of lady, a relatively bigger number, like iron deficient or maybe anemia. Part of the reason it could be that ladies in Hong Kong, we all would like to go for a slimmer body. Okay, and we might avoid eating something like red meat or maybe animal food. And so that's why this could be the possibility that why we are quite a well-developed area, and then we might still find that this is quite a big concern. Yeah, so it could be just our mindset that we always would like to go for weight reduction, stay slim. Well, sometimes we think a lady think this is 终生事業, right? Okay, so that's why. Yeah.
The phenomenon of in maybe the Asia. How about any other questions? Oh, sure. Okay.
得唔得？係咁咧，如果食肉咧，咁就有 iron 啦。但係如果佢係痛風嘅話咧，咁佢食肉又唔可以食得太多，食豆又唔食得咁多，咁仲有啲咩方法可以增加 iron？
So this is indeed also a good question, because when it comes to reality, we might not only have one illness. That is true. So I think when people they have a gout, okay, in Chinese we call it 痛風, and then we all know that maybe meat sometimes it is also something should be limited. Okay, so bear in mind that we just don't overeat it, because we know a gout is not like allergy that I eat meat and then that can cause gouty attack. It is just we over intake, we have too much of it. Okay, so if we look at the data before, you will find that, for example, like a 2.5 pieces of a beef that already provide quite some amount of iron, almost meeting our requirement. So that means if I want to prevent the problem of iron deficiency, it's not that I have to eat a lot of meat. It's just a balanced diet. And then having some meat, okay, and then also at the same time from the plant source, very important. That is, well, stay hydrated. Stay well hydrated. That can also lower the risk of gout attack. So basically these two problems, they are not conflicting with each other. So we have adequate intake or balanced diet good enough to protect us. And then this would not affect the gout problem. So I hope this answers your question. Yeah.
佢係腎同痛風咧，咁應該醫邊樣先？Okay.
So another question is about, okay, so adding one more problem now. How about together with the renal problem as well? Then I would have to say, if it is a renal problem, well, there are also many different stages, also different severity. So of course, we will have to look at the symptom, look at the actual situation. For example, if the renal problem, that means the kidney problem, it is really, well, a bigger concern, then yes, we will look at, the renal problem first to ensure that the kidney problem, it is not getting worse. And then at the same time, and then look for the solution for adequate iron intake. Okay.
Okay, so I believe maybe some of us may have more questions, but because I think that almost time, if you would like to learn more, we do have yeah, if you would like to learn more, you may see our programs. We do have different various types of nutrition programs. So, and also some programs are coming up in July as well. So you may have a look at the film flyer and also our website. Thank you all for coming and joining us today here and also online. Thank you.